Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I achieved the stunning rainbow glitter acrylic ombre with a little bit of French ombre and some acrylic cutting 3D French techniques. Basically, I'm going to show you how to go from drab to fab. Let's begin. So before starting, I'm going to grab all of my colors that contribute to making my rainbow palette. This is a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, a purple, and a pink. All the gel colors used can be found linked in the description down below, but for the glitters I'm actually using my own custom mix. I've basically just taken a lot of the glitters that I had laying around, matched the color profiles together and mixed them together. So in each pot of glitter there is a range of different types of glitter, ranging from micro fine glitter to super chunky glitter, see-through iridescent glitter to opaque glitter, and as well within each color there is at least 2 different tones of that color. But with my yellow, I didn't really have yellow opaque glitter, so instead I used gold glitter, which really works if you match it with some yellow translucent iridescent glitter. Then I'm going to grab my acrylic, starting with my cover nude acrylic, my natural sheer pink acrylic, my clear acrylic, and my white acrylic. Then before going in with my acrylic, I'm going to apply my dehydrator and then my pH bonder. Now the forms of my nails are already ready. They were done in another video. Now before going in with my glitter acrylic, there's a few things that I need to do. Firstly, I'm going to need to sculpt out a thin layer of clear acrylic across the entire nail, as well as past the length as to where I want to go, just to make sure that I can file down to the perfect length. This is because when you apply glitter acrylic onto your natural nail, it may cause lifting, because some of the glitter may lie flat against your nail and the acrylic may not get underneath that glitter. So in that specific area there is actually no acrylic on your nail, and this can cause the little glitter piece to shift and eventually cause lifting, which we really don't want. So I really recommend that you apply a very thin layer of the clear acrylic. It took me quite a bit of time to learn how to apply the acrylic this thinly, but don't worry, if it is a bit thick on your first application you can always file it down. Just be very careful when filing this, as it is quite thin and that could cause the acrylic to snap or break off. But if it does happen, you can always just put the form back on and reapply that acrylic. And then you can use your e-file to clean it up underneath. As well, glitter acrylic, especially when it has a lot of glitter, is not a very strong type of acrylic. So it is always recommended to have an underlayer of clear acrylic, which is the strongest acrylic, as well as a capping layer on top of the glitter to ensure that your glitter is sealed within the acrylic and to ensure that the nail has its strength. Otherwise, the nail may crack and chip off with the little pieces of glitter that are within. When the acrylic is set up enough that when you tap it, it creates a sound, but not set up enough that you can still squeeze it with your fingers, you're going to use a pinching tool. I always recommend before using the pinching tool, pinch it with your fingers. You're going to use the pinching tool on either side wall of the nail. I recommend leaving this pinching tool on for about a minute. Basically, sculpt your next nail, come back to it, and remove the pinching tool. If at any point the pinching tool is feeling tight, remove it and allow the acrylic to set up a little bit more and then pinch again. As well, if my pinching tool is busy, I just use a basic nail tweezers. This one will never be as tight as a pinching tool, but it does help to pinch that little bit more. So I just did the other nails off camera just to save some time. And now I'm just going to lightly buff over the nails. This is because I'm going to be applying gel onto these nails, and you'll find out in a little bit. Then before applying the gel, I'm going to use a little nail scissors to trim off any excess acrylic that won't be needed. Any overhangs of acrylic that slid down the nail, as I don't want to waste gel and I don't want the gel to pool there. As well, I'm just going to grab my little liner brush, any liner brush, it doesn't really matter. Then I'm going to go in with each of my colors. Each of my colors are going to be applied to a specific part of the nail, and on each nail there is going to be an ombre. For my pinky and for my index nail, it is going to be an acrylic cutting technique where I'm going to cut the nail vertically down the center, and the one half is going to be a French ombre and the other half is going to be a glitter ombre. And for my ring nail, I'm going to be using my Cover Nude acrylic, and I'm going to be creating a reverse French. Now I'm just going to be adding the Cover Nude section for now, and then we're going to be filing it and adding some gel afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gel that corresponds to the glitter that I'm going to be using on that nail, and I'm going to paint that on top of the very thin layer of clear acrylic that we have built out. And when two colors meet, you don't want it to be a stark line, so I'm just using my liner brush to just break up that line and bring each color into the color that it's going to be ombreing with. This is because sometimes with glitter, especially when it gets thin towards the tip of the nail, you can sometimes see through the nail because obviously the acrylic is clear. Applying a layer of colored gel underneath the glitter acrylic, this ensures that you're really going to pick up on the orange and you're going to pick up on the red. As well, some of the glitters that I'm using are actually very color light, so they contain a lot of transparent and translucent iridescent glitter, but they don't really have a lot of opaque color glitter. This base color will also reinforce that color. Then I'm going to use my hand file to file in the French on the reverse French. Basically, I'm going to make sure that they are nice and perpendicular to the nail. And then I'm going to take my file and I'm going to go from the center of the nail towards either side. And what this is going to do is it's going to form a nice crisp corner on the edge of the reverse French, which is what we need. So when we come in with the gel polish, it gives us a nice straight, even line with our 3D French. Once all the gel is applied, I'm going to go in with the glitter acrylic. So I'm going to start off with each color in its respective area. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to thin the glitter acrylic out in the area where the colors need to fade. And then I'm going to keep going in and building up the fade and dragging the product into the opposite color. This will reinforce the ombre. Glitter ombres are not hard to do. They're not like color ombre. Basically just keep playing around until you like the ombre. But be careful. Don't make it too thick because you still need to put a capping layer of clear acrylic onto the nail. And for my index and for my pinky finger, I'm going to ensure that when I apply the acrylic, I'm not applying it to the side of the nail that's going to have ombre, as this would be pointless. Instead, I'm going to start creating the little side wall now with the brush. So when the acrylic starts setting up, I'm going to try and make that line as straight as possible. Once all of my acrylic ombres have been laid, I'm going to go in with my clear acrylic for my capping layer now. Don't be afraid of making your capping layer quite thick. You can always file it down afterwards, but I always recommend to make it thicker rather than thinner, because any problems with your capping layer could cause errors with your structure. So ensure that your structure is perfect after applying your capping layer. Then once all of the clear capping acrylic has set up, I'm going to go in with my bulk removal diamond bit, the one that has a nice sharp edge on it, and I'm going to file in the walls on my pinky and on my index finger. I'm going to use the bit perpendicular to my nail to ensure that I have a nice crisp edge. This is also just to start it. I like to go in with a hand file after the e-file and file in the wall manually, as a hand file will allow you to get a far straighter line and a far more perfect line. Then with my walls filed in, I'm going to go in with my 3D French technique, and I'm going to use my black gel polish to paint the walls that I've just filed in. Putting this black here creates a really thin and sharp line once you have filed your nails. It allows a clear definition between the two sides of the nail as well. It is far thinner than what you can paint it by hand, but if you do not want to do this step, you don't have to. You can always paint it in with a black painting gel or even a black striping / spider gel. once I've added the black in, I'm going to go in with my French Ombre. A French Ombre is a very simple ombre to do. All I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by putting quite a bit of white on the tip of the nail, and I'm going to thin that out towards the middle of the nail, and then I'm going to let that fully dry, and then after it's dried I'm going to go in with my Cover Nude acrylic, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing, just in reverse. I'm going to apply quite a bit of the Cover Nude around the cuticle area, and I'm going to thin it out towards the middle of the nail. You can also apply more of the Cover Nude in the middle of the nail, just thin it out towards both directions. And then the final step to my ombre is I always use a natural sheer pink in the center of the ombre. It almost blurs the colors, so it reinforces the ombre without you having to do any work at all. I always recommend, instead of using a clear acrylic to create your structure with these nails, I recommend doing it with a natural sheer pink, as that will just reinforce the ombre. Then, once all of the acrylic has been applied, I'm going to go in with my bulk removal diamond safety bit, and I'm going to start off on quite a high speed with filing the cuticle area. This is why I like to use the safety bit, as if I was using the non-safety bit that was featured earlier in the video, it will actually cut your cuticle, as it does have quite a sharp edge. So I always like using the curved edge, as I've never ever cut a cuticle with the curved edge. So I'm going to thin out the cuticle area. I always use the e-file for this, as it creates a stunning cuticle area. Then I'm going to go and debulk the nail. Now on my index, ring and pinky, it's very easy for me to see, because as soon as I file away most of the thick gel lines and I get my nice fine lines, I know I've filed enough. But for the other nails, I'm basically just going to remove as much extra acrylic as I can see. I tend to focus around the apex area, as I always like to overbuild my apexes so that I can always file them down, as I'm always fearful of underbuilding an apex. I'm just removing the bulk of the acrylic with the e-file, but to file in and to contour my nails, I'm going to go in with a hand file. I always prefer a hand file for my side walls and for my edges of my nails, so that I can get a nice clean, straight, crisp edge and a pleasing curve and a perfect structure to the top of my nail. Then I'm going to buff my nails with quite a bit of force to remove any scratches or any marks that the files may have made on the nails, as this is acrylic art, so there isn't going to be gel put on top, so you need to ensure a perfect smooth surface on top of your acrylic. Then I'm going to apply a glossy top coat. Now it's time for the Diamantes. So to start off the Diamantes, I'm just going to use my buffer and I'm going to buff very slightly the areas where I'm going to be applying gems. Then I'm going to wipe my nails to get rid of all of the dust, and I'm going to go in with my rubber base and I'm going to apply a generous amount of it. Then I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm going to break the edges of the rubber base that I've just applied, as well as drag the rubber base into all the areas that I need it. Because I'm going to be applying quite small stones, I'm just dragging them into the sides of my nails where those small gems are going to go. Then with the uncured rubber base applied, I'm going to go in with all of my Diamantes and I'm going to apply the biggest stone in the center and I'm going to gradiate it out to the sides. Then with all my Diamantes in place, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the top coat on my liner brush to just seal the sides of the Diamantes, and as well just to cover up any buffed areas of the top coat that may still be visible. And there we go. That is how you achieve this effect. I know this video has been going on for quite a while, so I'm just going to do the full acrylic sculpting and filing off camera, and I'll just come back for the top coat and Diamante, because to me that is the most satisfying part of it. And once the Diamantes for the second hand are done, these nails are officially finished. Stay tuned for the reveal shots. thank you so much for getting to the end of this video and for watching it. It took a hot minute to get this video done, and it's the longest video I have done to date. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you learned something, and I really hope you can try and do some glitter ombres or some 3D French techniques for yourself. All products used from Zaza will be listed and linked in the description down below. Go check it out if you are interested. Have a lovely rest of whenever you're watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Toodles!